And I'm Jacob.
We just saw Jurassic World in theaters. This is what we do after every movie, pretty much. We talk about what we saw on the drive home, but we kind of tried to save everything that we were thinking for this video. So our first impressions, I actually pretty liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good.
I had some pretty low expectations going into the theaters, but I actually think it's the first good sequel to the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time now, about how no Jurassic Park sequel is ever going to have the magic that the original had. There's just never going to be another dinosaur movie that's as exciting and amazing as that first one was when you first see those dinosaurs, and it's so real to you. You just can't really redo that.
No, and it meant a lot to me as a kid. That's actually why I came on the video today, and I'm usually not, but I'm really passionate about Jurassic Park. Like Stephanie said, you have to accept that you can't recreate the original Jurassic Park, and that feeling it gave you of discovering dinosaurs for the first time. You discovered them with the characters.
That being said, they did, more so than any of the other sequels, reference the first movie a lot more. There were a lot of little Easter eggs and a lot of references to what happened in the first film. There is even one character from that first movie in this movie that you'll find out soon. And one thing I caught, what?
Or if you watch the trailer, and if you have a keen eye, you'll see them there.
But one thing I caught during the movie that it was kind of funny. At one point, you see someone's desk, and there's a book on the desk, and on the back of it, it's kind of blurry. You can't really tell. But as soon as I saw it, I said, "That's Ian Malcolm." It was his book, because you could just see his pose and like his hair.
Wearing dark clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just really funny. And I pointed at the theater at the screen, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, and I'm really happy you pointed that out, because I've watched a few other reviews online, and no one has pointed that out yet. I'm sure there's someone somewhere that's also found it, but all the main video reviews I found, no one has caught that yet. So I'm excited. So I'm glad we found that, or you found that.
And there were a few other little things like that you'll catch, and it just makes the movie more enjoyable, how they're acknowledging how great the original was, and how they're not trying to exceed that, but they're just trying to make a worthy sequel.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree that they felt like they were trying to be as respectful to the first film as possible.
One character even had a Jurassic Park t-shirt on, and he was saying how, "Oh, I know a lot of people died, but that first park was just so great," and it seemed really like meta how they were commenting.
Yeah, really breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It felt like they were talking about the movie, not the park. Talking about how great the original one was. Which that was okay. It was a little cheesy, and a little breaks the illusion a little bit. But I think the whole point was just trying to acknowledge of how much they liked the original movie. And you really feel that for the beginning of the movie. You really, like, the 30 minutes, there's a lot of praise for the original.
Yeah, there is.
And, that felt good. It felt like it was all done in really good taste. And just speaking of, like, the first 30 or 45 minutes, I just want to say that the movie was paced very well, too. The reason why I had low expectations going in is because I thought they were going to ignore the whole magic with dinosaurs, and they just want, like what the sequels had, they just want a majority of it to be like machine guns firing and dinosaur gore.
Zombie dinosaurs.
Yes.
Next movie.
No, they wanted dinosaur gore. So I just thought it was going to be a lot of like teeth and blood and zombie teeth again.
Zombie teeth.
Dinosaur teeth and just blood and gore and machine guns, and that's all I thought they were going to get out of it. But no, I mean, they paced themselves very well. And yes, it also goes with the cliche of, they're at the park and it goes wrong again. Every time there's a human and dinosaur interaction, it goes wrong. But it's done a little bit differently. There's no storm that takes everything out. There's no hacker that opens all the fences. It's actually only one dinosaur that gets out. Well, for the most part, it's one dinosaur that gets out. And it's not even really the people's fault. It's the dinosaur outsmarted them to get out. So it's kind of the same, but it's done differently, and it's paced well, and it's very respectful to the original film. And I just think that it's as best as it could be. If there is going to be a sequel to Jurassic Park, this is the best you could have possibly done.
Now, despite all that, there were a few things that I didn't quite like. there were a lot of cliched characters, especially at the very beginning. There's the working woman who doesn't have time for family and who wears like all white clothes, you know who I'm talking about. And then there's the annoying teenage brother who's just like, whatever, I don't care, he's horny all the time. I just think that's a little ridiculous, but they do get better as they go on, as more tragic and horrible things start happening, you know.
I agree with you. And then there's even a few cliche lines, but there was nothing movie-breaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing, there was a few parts I'd roll my eyes at, but there was nothing where I thought this was a bad movie. It was actually, I think, again, with the beginning of the movie, I think it was 30 to 45 minutes in, I thought I owe this movie an apology, because I really thought this was going to be just junk, but they really respect the original, and they're doing a good job with it. They did a good job. I know
what part you're talking about that made you really appreciate the movie more. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's just this one part that takes you back to the original in your childhood when you first saw it, and you're just like, ah. And they play the music, and it makes you just feel really good about the movie and have more respect for it.
I think I know the part you're talking about, and that was a really good part. But this is something kind of small, and it doesn't really have to do with the originals. But for me, you'll see there's a part where they have a bunch of herbivore babies at like a petting zoo, and all the little kids riding them and hugging them, and that to me, it's like that's when it really hit home of just like what Hammond was trying to do. I mean, yeah, he's like, as to quote Grant from the third one, some of the worst things ever done, or some of the worst things that were ever done were done with the best intentions, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like defines Hammond, I think. But I really believe Hammond just wanted to bring that happiness and that light to people. Yes, it was also kind of a God complex and, you know, the power and just being able to create. But I really did think he wanted people to be happy. And you saw that with this one. It was like, it was a successful running park. And, but the petting zoo, it's almost like it just added more lore to me of the park. And
I really like that. If we actually went, that'd probably be one of my favorite exhibits, just seeing the babies and petting them. What would you like to do the most?
Out of the entire park or the petting zoo?
What we saw in the movie.
Actually, honestly, it'd probably be the petting zoo, even though there's like a T-Rex exhibit and everything.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to see it eating. That's a little scary. I don't know if I'd want to see something just eating a cow or goat. It was a goat, actually. Another goat.
Yeah.
What's the goat doing? But, I did like the gyrosphere thing, too. That seemed pretty fun.
Being
just
able to get right up close to the dinosaurs.
They were just herbivore dinosaurs, so... But still, it seems a little sketchy, because they could probably step on the ball, but... Well,
there's a celebrity cameo, I'm not going to say.
Oh, yeah.
But
in that scene, it was
really random, but it's still funny. It's random, though. But they basically they're ensure that these little spheres are strong, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're supposed to withhold.
Yeah, except for the Indominus Rex, who destroys literally everything in the park. Goes kind of crazy. You mentioned Hammond earlier, and one thing I really liked about this movie is how they kind of celebrated him and his vision in Jurassic World. Like, there was a statue of him, and they talk about him like, this is all thanks to him. He did this for everyone. Of course, he wasn't in the movie, and neither were any of the other main characters, really, but that kind of mention of him added to it for me as well.
Yeah, it did really feel like the director and even the writers were a fan of the first one, and they wanted to honor it. And of course, I bet they wanted to bank on it a little bit, because if you make a high-budget movie about dinosaurs, of course it's going to sell. And if you slap the not the Jurassic Park, I know it's Jurassic World, but either way, if you slap the Jurassic Park name on it, like, it's going to do well. So I know they were banking on it, but it still feels like they were also fans and trying to honor it.
We all know from the original movie, one of the best things is that they used the puppet dinosaurs, robotic dinosaurs, and that made it just so much more real. In this movie, I think there was one scene a couple of scenes where I think they used puppets, and we watched the credits and it did list puppeteers, so they did have some sort of puppets. It wasn't as much as I would have liked, but at least they, didn't drop it out completely just for CGI, so...
Yeah, I'd say my two biggest complaints about the movie are the fact that they really just had a majority of CGI.
And it can be really distracting.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how realistic it looks, you can still just tell there's just something off when there's CGI there. You kind of know.
Right, and what kind of hurt was just Jurassic Park is so well known for their puppet dinosaurs, and and their puppets are so well done that that's as real as it can look. Like, the dinosaurs look real. The dinosaurs were walk the earth again. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what they look like. You know, they look so good, and that's what Jurassic Park is known for. And just to kind of cut that out almost completely, that was one of the things I didn't like. Another thing I didn't like, and didn't think I'd say this, I actually thought this character was going to be my favorite part of the movie, but Chris Pratt's character, I actually had a little bit of problem with him. His lines didn't feel like they were being delivered as powerfully as they can. Like, when if you saw the trailer and he's in the cage with the raptors, he wasn't as intense as I pictured him to be. And there's a few other scenes where he did a good job acting, but I feel like there's a couple scenes where I would have expected him to be a little bit more intense. But like I said, nothing movie breaking. That's just part of my minor complaints. My biggest complaint is, like I said, the too much CGI, but it's fine. It's just compared to the other Jurassic Park movies, they're puppets, and now this is all CGI. So that's my biggest complaint. But despite that, I still think it's a pretty solid movie.
With Chris Pratt, he just kind of is typecasted in a lot of his movies. He just kind of plays a kind of gross, silly character sometimes.
Goofy.
Goofy, and kind of makes sexy, yucky comments. I don't know how to describe it, but like in Guardians of the Galaxy, he's like, if I had a black light in here, it looked like a Jackson Pollock painting. It's just, I don't know, he plays the same kind of thing, and it's, I don't know, it's a little like, they should do something else with him and not make him just this sexy, douchey guy.
I agree, but I think that's going to come in time, because I know he was on Parks and Rec, but I think what really kind of blew him up was the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think he's like just getting started on like big, like A-list Hollywood movies,
right?
And I think it'll eventually come around where he's playing more, diverse characters. I think he's just getting started being typecasted like this, but I mean, he was still good in the movie, and he seems like a really good guy in real life, and I still enjoyed him in the movie, and I'm happy he was in it. And just some of the lack of powerful acting is just such a minor thing that it's almost not even worth noting. We spoke earlier about breaking the fourth wall. I think they did that again in the film when they were saying people were no longer impressed with just seeing dinosaurs. I think they're kind of like talking about the audience that because we've already had 3 other movies before with just dinosaurs. So I think that's the whole reason why they made the what's it called?
Indominus Rex.
Indominus Rex.
I think the quote was like, more teeth, more blood, bigger, fatter, more teeth. What was it?
I'm not sure. Something like that.
They said something like that about people want this, and so they basically, you could probably tell this from the commercials, but basically they're creating a hybrid dinosaur. The base DNA is T-Rex, and the rest is classified, and you'll find out later on what it is, but that's the basic gist of it.
Right, and I feel like it works for the story too. Of we're trying to get more people in the park by making this new dinosaur, because I think they said it's starting to, their tickets selling. I don't know. It's the
sales are going down.
Sales are going down, so they wanted to make something bigger and better, and I think that was kind of breaking the fourth wall again for as audiences, people going to see the movie. They're kind of just saying like, look, some people are like, wow, it's just dinosaurs. That's wow enough. And I'm satisfied with just dinosaurs. I know I am personally, but I feel like the movies, like, the writers were, no, we have to add something new and different. And they kind of acknowledge that in the film, I feel like. But hence what I mean by breaking the fourth wall. They just want to add a bigger, badder dinosaur to get more butts in the seats.
But what this movie did do is go back to the Jurassic Park roots, which in every movie, the 2 main bad guy dinosaurs, the T-Rex and the Velociraptor, they have those in every single movie. They're always the scariest. The T-Rex comes in booming everywhere, and then the Velociraptors are sneaky. And they come back, and they're pretty scary. But I think that Indominus Rex is pretty freaky too, in my opinion. I screamed in a few parts.
That I know raptors, the part in the first one, and I know this would scare anyone, but in the first Jurassic Park, in the kitchen, that was always
I hate
your
that. Oh
worst
my
part.
gosh. When the little girl is like hiding and trying to close the gate thing, and you see it and it's like, oh my god, it's gonna get her. Oh, that freaks me out so much. When I was a kid, I was so scared of that part. My brother loved it. He loved the velociraptors, but I couldn't do it.
My little sister, she never saw the movie until very recently, and I had to show her, obviously. So I put in the first one, and it's the part where, what's the main female lead in the first one?
Ellie.
Ellie, is that her
I
name?
think that's her name.
Maybe. But
Dr. Grant's girlfriend.
yeah. Well, she's trying to turn on all the fences, and it's kind of a tense part with the little boy trying to climb down the electric fence, and she's going down the line, turning them all on. We should be probably talking more about Jurassic World, but I just want to get this part out. She's going down the line, turning them all on, and then after she gets them all on, I believe she's talking on the walkie, like, oh, we did it, and then a raptor just right behind her pops its head out, and that made my sister jump all over the place. And I love that, though, because she felt the tension in it still, and that's what's another thing great about that movie is, even though I believe it was made in the late 90s, it still holds up today. You can watch that movie and the effects, the characters, the lines, like even though there's a part where like, wow, it's a CD-ROM, like in the car.
I know this system. It's what did she say? It's something stupid.
Yeah, even though there's like some of that technology is dated, and obviously the computers are big, white and blocky, but despite that, like I think it still holds up today. It's just a solid, good movie. But we need to talk about Jurassic World.
Okay, so another thing from the trailers that we both thought, like, that's kind of stupid, was with Chris Pratt's riding a motorcycle with the raptors.
Oh,
and you're like,
good.
Really? Like, those are, like, the scariest thing, and he's making them all stupid. But they actually did a really great job. It was actually one of my favorite things of when he's working with them and training them. He made it seem like it's not just like, oh, I just trained them like a dog right away and they followed me. It seemed like he's been working with this like for years, like since they were born, when they were hatched or whatever. He's been like training them and trying to get them, and he's finally able to get them to follow a couple of orders. So it wasn't like they're dogs that do whatever he says. They're dinosaurs that are kind of, they respect him in a way. So I thought they did a better job than I thought they would with that. Yeah,
I was not looking forward to that going in. Just the most scariest things in the movies are domesticated. And I thought that was really stupid. But like you said, it was very well done. And I think the reason it was so well done is because it did add that new element to the franchise of like almost like having an understanding and a connection with the animal. But it didn't take away what we know from the raptors, which is that they're extremely intelligent and terrifying. And they're still intelligent and terrifying. I mean, they don't listen to everything, and that's all I want to leave it is with there. But that's what I mean. They kept everything that we know and love with the raptors. They didn't cut that out by domesticating them, but you also added the new element of the connection. And again, they just did that very well. It could have gone wrong so easily. They could have ruined the raptors, and that alone could have made me not like the entire movie. But there are so many things in this movie that it's so easy to mess up, but they did it right.
They did. Now I want to tell you about a couple of fan theories that we've read online about this movie. My favorite one, before we saw it, I read this thing online about how someone thought that Chris Pratt's character, his name is Owen, was going to be this kid from the first movie, not the main little boy, but in the very beginning when Dr. Grant is at their dig site and there's a little kid, he's like, that doesn't look so scary, it's just a big turkey. And he has his raptor claw and he's like, they're not scary? What if they slashed at you here?
He's like, the point is, you're alive when they eat you.
And the theory was that little fat ugly kid was Chris Pratt all grown up, and that's why he respects the velociraptors, but they didn't do that. But I was really hoping that they would, because I thought that'd be so funny and so perfect. And there was another theory that you read about,
Oh, yes. Do you want to say it?
No, you can say it.
Now, this may be a little bit ridiculous, but it's still kind of fun to think about. This takes place on the original island from the first movie. And I told you there's a T-Rex in it. We mentioned there was a T-Rex in it, and it's not confirmed. They don't say it is at all, or even really hint at it in the film. But it's not impossible. People were suggesting that this is the T-Rex from the first film, and that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would. Well, we'd have to. I don't know how long dinosaurs live, and we're not really sure how long from the Jurassic Park to Jurassic World it is.
You're right, because it could be in the future.
It's been a long time. It's been several years because Hammond is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, he was old when we saw him.
Yeah, and he was like sickly, I think, in the second movie. But
I don't know if he was sickly, but you get that impression because he's wearing robes.
Yeah,
and it just feels like he's sickly, but I don't know if he was.
But I mean, they've been open for years. They've been introducing new exhibits every year. So I guess it seems like it's been a while, but it could be that same T-Rex, which would be really cool. And I just want to mention that the very last scene, Jacob was a little iffy about it, but I think it ended it on a good little note, I think.
I thought it was a great way to end it, but it was almost
cool.
like, yeah, there was one, like, I want spoilers in this video, but not complete spoilers, so I'm not going to say it, but it was, just know that it was great. I just would have changed one thing about it, but you probably won't notice, so it's great.
So overall, I really think this was a great movie. I mean, I think it's like a 7 out of 10.
I would even say 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're really, really strict with grading. Like, just know that that's good. I know most people are probably giving this 8 or 9 out of 10, but like, I know 7 may sound low, but we're at least I am. I'm very, very, very strict with my ratings.
Yeah, I am too. We're very nostalgic. We like anything that we watched when we were a kid, and now if we watch it, we're like, oh, this is stupid. But yeah, it was great, especially when you put it in context with the first movie. I think if you are any kind of fan of Jurassic Park, and you probably don't like the second and third movie very much, but you will like this movie. I promise you, you will think this is a great sequel to that original. So I would recommend you go see it. And if you have never seen any Jurassic Park movie, I would say watch the first one. You can skip the other two. They don't really matter.
Yeah, not for Jurassic World, they don't.
Nothing really special happens. And then it's more about death and, I don't know, like hunting in those movies. It's not as fun. This movie's fun.
Yeah, real quick, just a sidebar, but talking about the second one, The Lost World, like, from the very beginning, you can tell it's going to be not as good as the first one. I guess you don't want the same thing, but like isn't like the opening scene, like this rich family is not crashes, but goes to a beach of the dinosaur island, and the little girl, you don't know. You later find out she lives, but you don't know if she's killed or severely injured by these dinosaurs. It's kind of disturbing, and the mom does this cheesy scream, but it's like that's the tone of the movie. Yeah. It's this little girl dying.
Whereas in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, they start off coming to this theme park that's, built up and it's clean and nice instead of a grown over, gross looking island. It's a clean and beautiful theme park that's done. So it feels special. It feels like you're going to Disney World in this movie. That's the kind of tone I got, especially from the very beginning. There's the little kid, he's so excited, and the older brother's like, whatever, this is for little kids. Like,
man, see, I guess maybe because it's new to us, but I don't care. I know the petting zoo was for children, but oh my gosh.
I would want to ride the baby dinosaurs. Oh my gosh, they were so cute.
Yeah, these kids, I don't know, maybe, that's the thing, it doesn't declare how far in the future this is. So this could have been around for many years, and, so many people are used to it. I mean, that is actually why they said they invented the Indominus Rex.
People have gotten bored, so it's been a while.
So I guess it has been a while in the future. And by the way, they never explained legally how they got to do this again after every human and dinosaur interaction has led to death. They didn't explain legally how they could open this park, but oh well.
I would go.
That's just something you got to... I was a little bothered by that, but again, that's not a movie-breaking flaw to it.
Oh, and they also... One thing I thought about, but they didn't mention... in the first movie, they make all female dinosaurs, but because of the frog DNA, they can change sex, and that's how they start breeding again. They didn't mention if they fix that or how they fix that. All the dinosaurs are female again, so they didn't really say anything. I guess they fixed that.
Now that I think about it, though, except for the herbivores, they didn't really keep any of the carnivores, 2 of them, together. Except the raptors are the exception, but
yeah, you're right, I guess.
But everyone else, I guess we didn't really see any much what do they call it? Not meteors, but it's the carnivores. Yeah, I just said it.
Yeah, there was like 1 T-Rex, and then
4
there
raptors.
were 4 raptors, but they were kind of at like night. It looked like they were all separated and like tied up or something.
Right.
A little.
And then the
sad.
Indominus Rex. Like that was really all the carnivores. But I mean, trust me, you will have plenty of carnivore action.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of action, especially at the end. There's some great fight scenes that you're gonna have fun with.
It actually may be better that there's less carnivores, because the carnivores that they do have, just the very few they do have, they're like characters themselves in the film.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see, especially the raptors. They're definitely characters.
They have their own personalities and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I don't know. Despite what we've said, that a couple of flaws that we've mentioned, I think you should definitely see this movie. Let your kids watch the first one. Bring your kids. It's a great, fun movie. It's a great summer movie. So you want to go see a movie? This one's a good one.
Agreed.
See you next time.
Yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Testing.
Hello, welcome to the SilverScreeNerds. I'm Stephanie.